The Samsung Galaxy Tab S7 and Tab S7 Plus are two of the best Android tablets that you can buy right now. Both have beautiful displays, a ton of processing power, excellent audio, and powerful multitasking capabilities. But that in and of itself doesn't actually help you choose. If you're considering getting one of these, or you just want to know more about some surprising differences between the S7 and the S7 Plus, I'm going to talk about these tablets for everything from media consumption, office work like emails and notes, multitasking, doing social media work, and even gaming and video calls. And at the end, we'll see if the Tab S7 is a better option or if the Tab S7 Plus is worth the higher price point. The most noticeable difference is the size. And if you have the opportunity to handle both at a store, that will give you a good starting point about which one will work better for what you need. Both displays have a 16:10 aspect ratio, which gives the tablets an elongated design, which is excellent for watching video. The S7 has an 11-inch display and the S7 Plus has a 12.4-inch display. So it's about 1.25 inches or 3.1 centimeters longer and 0.8 or 2 centimeters wider. Practically, it makes a pretty significant difference, and you'll need to choose between having a larger display with more real estate or having a more portable device. The Tab S7 Plus also weighs more at 1.27 pounds or 575 grams versus the Tab S7 at 1.1 pounds and 500 grams. And surprisingly, the Plus is actually slightly thinner. Now moving on to design, these are virtually identical. Both are made from machined aluminum with rounded corners, squared off edges, and thin bezels. Now looking around the edge, we see 4 speaker grills, a volume rocker, power button, micro SD card slot for expanded internal storage functionality, and a USB-C port for charging and connecting accessories. Both feel very solid and I have no bending issues, even with the larger and thinner Tab S7 Plus. And the only noteworthy difference is the power button, which I'll get to in the next section. Now looking at the back of both devices, we'll see a matte finish, elongated camera module, and a magnetic strip used to pair and charge the included S Pen. I'm a big fan of this implementation and how protected the S Pen is when you're using the Samsung book cover keyboard. As far as the colors, both tablets come in 4 colors: Mystic Black, Silver, Bronze, and Navy, which was the one I liked best, and so I chose it for both. Now the next area we're going to see some differences in is biometric authentication. So both tablets offer face recognition and a fingerprint sensor, but the Tab S7 incorporates a sensor into the power button, and the Tab S7 Plus uses an in-screen sensor. Face recognition works great with both devices, and between the 2 fingerprint sensors, I think I like the in-screen implementation on the Tab S7 Plus more. It's not that it's faster or anything like that, but I feel like it's more often how I reach for the tablet and how I hold it, so I feel like it's in a more natural position. In both cases, I like the versatility of having face recognition and a fingerprint sensor, and it's very rare that I actually have to type my password in. We already talked about the size of the screens, but the actual displays themselves are different. The Tab S7 has an 11-inch 120Hz LTPS TFT display with a resolution of 1600 by 2560. It's a good display, it's bright, it's crisp, and it offers HDR10 Plus support. But there's no competing with the 12.4-inch 1752 by 2800 resolution Super AMOLED display on the Tab S7 Plus. We're still getting that fast 120Hz refresh rate and HDR10 Plus support, but now we're getting the best display that I've ever used to date with any tablet. Using both side by side, the Tab S7 Plus definitely stands out as the better display and is absolutely spectacular for watching movies, playing games, and photo editing. The image virtually pops out of the screen, and if you want a less saturated and more natural look, you can change the screen mode from vivid to natural. If you're still with me and have gotten value from this video, give it a thumbs up. It lets me know what kind of content you like so that I can make more of it. And I still see that over 90% of you are new viewers, so hit that subscribe button. Now moving on, let's talk about the camera and audio system. Now both tablets have an 8-megapixel front-facing camera that's located at the center of the longer edge. So you're framed perfectly for video calls when the tablet is horizontal or in landscape mode. Both also have a 13-megapixel main camera and a 5-megapixel ultra-wide. And the camera systems are good enough for a tablet, but aren't something that I use very often because the image quality from my phone camera is better. Now, the quad speakers on the S7 and S7 Plus are excellent, especially when you turn on Dolby Atmos. They're louder than I ever need them to be when I'm watching content, playing games, or using them for video calls. Neither headphone offers a 3.5mm headphone jack, so if you want to use wired headphones or a wired headset for gaming, you'll need to use an adapter. Now next, let's talk about the keyboard and the stylus, where we see an unexpected difference. Both tablets use Samsung's book cover keyboard, but the one for the Tab S7 Plus isn't simply a larger version. The exterior of both has a very nice feel to them. I love the fact that I can separate the back from the keyboard so that I can use both as a tablet and then still have some protection. And the secure S Pen flap on the back means that I can always bring it with me and never have to worry about it falling off in my bag. Now the difference, besides the fact that the Tab S7 Plus version is larger and more comfortable to type on, is the dedicated row of function keys at the top. And that lets me control things like the display brightness, volume levels, while also providing UI and multimedia controls. For me, that's a really nice feature because it makes it much less likely that I'll need to use the quick panel. Build quality is the same on both keyboards, and so is the quality of the keys and the trackpad. So no real differentiator there other than the fact that the larger version is more comfortable to use, and I was able to type faster on it and make less mistakes. I already mentioned the S Pen, which is a great tool and is included with the cost of both tablets. If you watch my dedicated reviews or any of the comparisons that I published, you know that I love this move from Samsung because I think more users will end up finding creative ways to use the S Pen to improve their user experience with both Samsung tablets. Moving on to processing power, the performance is virtually identical, as both use the Snapdragon 865 Plus Qualcomm chip and come with 6 GB of RAM if you get the 128 gigs of storage. If you upgrade to 256 or 512 gigs of internal storage, then you get an additional 2 gigs of RAM for a total of 8. I would at the very least get the 256 gig version because for a couple of bucks you get double the storage and extra RAM, so if you can afford it, I think it's a no-brainer. Next, let's talk about multitasking, which is an area where both tablets shine. If you're looking for an excellent laptop replacement solution, just boot up Dex on either one of these, add a mouse and a keyboard, and you're good to go. You'll get a familiar desktop-like interface with icons, folders, and a taskbar, and you'll be able to open multiple windows, snap them to half the screen, and even have floating windows. If you want to step things up to the next level, get a USB-C adapter and an external monitor, and now you have a multitasking powerhouse. I love being able to implement a multi-display workflow, and it's great to be able to just sit down, plug in, and get to work. And the only advantage that I'm going to give the Tab S7 Plus is the larger display, which provides more real estate for multi-app tasks. Now, as far as battery life, the Tab S7 has an 8,000 mAh battery, and the S7 Plus has a 25% larger 10,090 mAh battery. Now, of course, that battery has to drive the larger AMOLED display, and in my experience, both tablets lasted about the same amount of time. As with any tablet, battery life will depend on what tasks you're performing, the display brightness, whether the tablet is driving accessories like the keyboard, but I found that I was getting somewhere between 8 and 12 hours with both. And I always have a power bank with me if I plan on being away from a power source. In both cases, we get a 15-watt adaptive fast charger, and both tablets can accept up to 45 watts. So I was a little disappointed that we didn't get a higher capacity adapter. I guess at the very least, I was hoping for 25 watts. And something that's definitely going to drain your battery is gaming. And my experience with both devices was excellent. Both are plenty powerful and were able to drive every game I threw at them. And with Xbox Game Pass, I was able to stream games and use my Xbox controller with no hiccups. And this is an area where both tablets were able to flex the 120 Hz refresh rate, and of course the Tab S7 Plus gets the nod here with a larger and brighter display with more contrast and deeper blacks. Now, being able to stream games means that I can save on paying for internal storage. But let's take a look at the options. The 128 gigs of internal storage and 6 gigs of RAM version of the Tab S7 sells for $550, and you can still get the 256 and a 512 gig versions with 8 gigs of RAM for $630. I'm not sure when that's going to change, but at this point you should definitely grab the 512 gig version. With the Tab S7 Plus, the 128 gigs of storage and 6 gigs of RAM sells for $750, moving up to 256 gigs of storage and 8 gigs of RAM bumps this up to $800, and then finally the 512 gig version is $880. Now both have a micro SD card slot where you can expand the internal storage by up to an additional terabyte. Now because of all the similarities, in my opinion, the choice comes down to size, display quality, typing experience, and budget. If you want a more compact and portable yet equally powerful tablet with a great display and you want to save some serious cash, grab the Tab S7. If you've got some additional funds, you want a truly exceptional and larger display, a better typing experience with a larger keyboard, and the additional function keys at the top, then go ahead and pick up the Tab S7 Plus. In either case, it's smart to upgrade the internal storage and get that bump in RAM as a bonus. Remember that I have links in the description to all the products that I talked about. Click on my face to subscribe and then watch one of these videos. You know what I always say? Buy it nice or buy it twice. Good luck and see you soon.